Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Sparkle English, where I teach you all about how to speak in English, how to write in English, and how to improve your level of English. A lot of my subscribers have found me because they have watched my tutorials on my YouTube channel Jennifer Marie VO, where I teach you how to make money online, and particularly how to make money as a transcriptionist. Well, in order to be a good transcriptionist, you need to have excellent punctuation skills. And being able to properly use quotation marks is essential in becoming a good transcriptionist or a good writer. So today I'm going to go over quotation marks rules, and these are English writing essentials, things you need to know if you want to be an excellent writer in English. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I also recommend you grab a pen or a piece of paper and take some notes as we go along. We will also have a little practice session, so make sure to pause the video so you can answer the questions on your pen and paper and follow along with us. So let's get started. This is our introduction to quotation marks. In this lesson, we are going to discuss the American way of using quotation marks in written English. Now, if you want to learn how to use quotation marks because you want to become a transcriptionist, most of the transcription platforms use the American way, unless you are working with a English or British transcription company. One of the most important ways we use quotations is to quote someone's words, and obviously these right here are quotation marks, double quotation marks. To quote something means to repeat exactly what someone said. So let's get started with the first rule. Quotation marks rule 1. Use double quotation marks to indicate a direct, word-for-word quotation. Example, "I love horror movies," she said. "Do you want to go for dinner tomorrow night?" Mary asked. "I have a business meeting next Friday," John answered. So, "I love horror movies" is exactly what this person said, so we use quotation marks to indicate a direct word-for-word quotations. And I want you to pay attention where we are using them. We're using them here at the beginning and at the end, after the comma, but we will discuss that in a little bit. Okay, so where do you need to place quotation marks in these sentences? "I'm going to Venice next month," Sarah said. "Does Carly work in your department?" Tina asked. So I want you to look at these sentences and determine what do you think the direct sentence or the direct speech was that we are quoting. In this first example, "I'm going to Venice next month." So we're going to put quotations at the beginning and after the comma. "I'm going to Venice next month," Sarah said. "Does Carly work in your department?" Tina asked. Again, at the beginning of the quotation and after the question mark. Okay, so rule number 2, and this is rule 2A. Always capitalize the first word in a complete quotation. Examples, "Rob screamed, 'Don't lie to me.' The judge said, 'You are guilty as charged.'" I want you to pay attention. The D is capitalized in don't, and the Y is capitalized in the phrase "you are guilty as charged." And this is because we always have to capitalize the first word in a complete quotation. So this is a full sentence, a full quotation. "Don't lie to me. You are guilty as charged." It's not part of a quotation. It is a complete quotation, so we have to begin with a capital letter. Rule 2B. If a direct quotation is interrupted mid-sentence, do not capitalize the second part of the quotation, unless, of course, the second part of the quotation begins with a word that you always have to capitalize, like I or the name of a person. For example, John. Examples, "I didn't see any celebrities in Los Angeles," Mr. Smith said, "but I still had a good time." This is a direct quotation, but it's interrupted mid-sentence because in the middle of the sentence we're saying Mr. Smith said. So because of this, we do not have to capitalize the B because this is the first part of the quotation and this is the second part of the quotation. And because of that, we do not have to capitalize the B in but. We just keep it as a lowercase letter. Okay, so let's do some practice. Where do you need to place quotation marks and capital letters in these sentences? The teacher asked, "Who knows the answer to this question?" He declared, "We are canceling the meeting." Why, she asked, are you so rude? So I want you to look at these and following the rules we just learned, where do you put quotation marks and capital letters? So in the first sentence, the teacher asked, "Who knows the answer to this question?" We're going to put the quotation marks before the W, and we have to capitalize the W. You have to make this big because this is a full, complete quotation. And then we put quotation marks at the end after the question mark. In the next sentence, he declared, "We are canceling the meeting." Again, quotation marks before the W, and we capitalize the W because it's the beginning of a full quotation, and then quotation marks after the period at the end. And the last one is a bit more difficult. Why, she asked, are you so rude? Again, the beginning of this, let's look at where is the full quotation. The full quotation is, "Why are you so rude?" And this part is interrupting it. So we have to put quotations before the W, why, and then close it after the comma. She asked, double quotation marks, "Are you so rude?" Do we have to capitalize the A and R? No, because this is the first part of the quotation and this is the second part. So we do not need to capitalize the A because this all goes together as one quotation. Now for Rule 3. Use commas to introduce or interrupt direct quotations. So we've been doing this the whole time. He yelled, comma, "Get out of my way." Where, comma, he asked, comma, is the party tomorrow? I need to borrow your car, comma, my sister said, comma, so I can go to my appointment. In the first example, we are introducing a direct quotation, so we have to put the comma. He yelled, comma, "Get out of my way." And in the second and third example, we're using the commas because we are interrupting direct quotations. Where, comma, he asked, comma, is the party tomorrow? Okay, so let's do a practice. Where do you need to place commas and quotation marks in these sentences? The woman said, "I'm tired." The rabbit, the man complained, is always eating my plants. So in the first one, the woman said, we put a comma, double quotation marks, "I'm tired." Okay, so for rule number 4, periods and commas always go inside quotation marks. Again, this is for American English. In British English, it's outside the quotation marks. But if you are wanting to learn these rules because you're a transcriptionist, you will probably be following American rules from almost every single transcription company. Examples: the manager said, "Everyone is getting a Christmas bonus." Again, you can notice here, the period is inside the quotation mark. The cream, again, comma, whispered the shop assistant, is on the 3rd shelf. So the commas are inside the quotation marks and the periods as well. Okay, for rule number 5, place a question mark or exclamation mark within closing quotation marks if the punctuation applies to the quotation itself. Place the punctuation outside the closing quotation marks if the punctuation applies to the whole sentence. Now this might seem a little bit confusing. What we're trying to say is, when do you know if you have to put the quotation mark after the question mark or before the question mark? And this depends on the context and depends on the quotation itself. For example, Jane asked, "Where is the library?" Where is the library? We have to put a question mark because this quotation is a question. And we don't need to put a period after it. We just finish it with the quotation mark. We're not going to put the question mark after the quotation because this complete phrase is not a question. The only question is the inside the quotation. Where is the library? So for this one, we have to put it inside the quotation mark. In the next example, Jack said, "I hate you." Here, we put the exclamation mark inside the quotation because the exclamation mark applies to the quotation itself, okay? Now for the last one, do you agree with the phrase, time is money? Time is money is not a question. Time is money, it's not a question. So the question mark does not apply to this quote. The question mark is on the outside because the full phrase is a question. Do you agree with the phrase, time is money? Question mark. This question mark relates to the entire sentence. It doesn't relate to the quotation. So we have to put it outside of the quotation. Okay? Let's do some practice because this one is a little more difficult. So where do you need to place quotation marks in these sentences? Joe questioned, "Are you hungry right now?" Did you hear Cameron say to his parents, "You're the worst parents ever"? So I want you to look at these both right now and try to figure out which of these has a quotation that is a question. The first one, Joe questioned, "Are you hungry right now?" This is a complete question. What Joe says is a question. So we have to put the quotation marks around "Are you hungry right now?" and after the question mark because we are quoting a question. And the second one, did you hear Cameron say to his parents, "You're the worst parents ever"? "You're the worst parents ever" is not a question. It's a statement. So this question mark applies to the entire sentence. So we have to put the quotation marks before you're the worst parents ever. Did you hear Cameron say to his parents, "You're the worst parents ever"? Because this question mark is about the entire phrase. It doesn't relate to the quotation itself. It relates to the entire sentence, the entire phrase. Okay, and our last rule that we're going to discuss is use single question marks for quotations within quotations. I spoke to George yesterday and he said, "Did you talk to Jane? She told me I am quitting my job." So you can see here, the quotation we are referring to is this. Did you talk to Jane? She told me I am quitting my job. This is what George said, but George is also quoting someone within his quote. So to separate this, we have to use single quotation marks. So we have double, which is what we normally will use. And then if you're quoting someone within that, you'd have to use a single. So you can see here, did you talk to Jane? She told me I am quitting my job. So you can see here we have a single quotation at the beginning and a single at the end, followed by two doubles. Now this is not very typical. You will not see this very often. And if you are doing some sort of transcription job, it's very unlikely you're going to see something like this, but it's just good to be aware of what you would do if you saw something like this. Okay, so that completes my lesson on how to use quotation marks in American English. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for more ESL videos like this one. I will be releasing more English Writing Essentials videos on how to use hyphens and dashes and periods and question marks and all sorts of other things that you need to know to improve your level of English and to improve your English writing skills. And if you have any questions, you can share them in the comments as well. Thank you once again for watching, and I will see you in my next video.